Hello everyone, this is going to be the sixth lecture in the series of Shakespearean studies. Today we're going to talk about Henry V by William Shakespeare. First of all, I will talk about Shakespeare Life. Secondly, I will introduce the characters of Henry V. Thirdly, I will talk about the themes of Henry V. And finally, I will analyze the play for you. So here we go. Shakespeare is lived around 1564 and 1616. He born in Stratford, Warwickshire. His father John was prosperous glover and wool merchant, mayor of Stratford. William Shakespeare was educated in local grammar school. Some say that the equivalent of some college today. William Shakespeare spoke and wrote Latin. He may have been a secret Catholic. Shakespeare married to Anne Hathaway in 1582. He was 18, she 26. They have three children, Susanna, Hamnet, and Judith. Hamlet dies young. By 1592, Shakespeare is an up-and-coming actor and playwright in London. Let's talk about the novel. Henry V. Henry V was the son of the Henry IV. Henry Bolingbroke, usurper of Richard II. Henry V is the second Lancastrian king, father of Henry IV. They are famous for the War of the Roses. Henry V was the winner of the Battle of Agincourt. Let me talk about the history of the Henry V. In 1415, Henry's effort to secure the crown of France failed, and Henry went to war, 100 years of war. As he gathered his army and prepared to embark, he foiled the treasonous Southampton plot. After securing the critical port of Harfleur in September 1415 in Normandy, Henry's army was sick and exhausted. He determined to winter and recover in the English stronghold at Calais. On his retreat, Henry's army is cut off by the French, who boast vastly superior numbers. On October 15th, St. Crispin's Day, Henry fights and destroys the mighty French army, temporarily securing his claim to the crown and winning Catherine, daughter of Charles VI, as his queen. While the numbers are imprecise, the French losses were staggering, perhaps as high as 10,000, including many knights and nobles and prisoners killed by the English, while the English, by some accounts, lost as few as 500. The victory is viewed by some as the birth of English nationalism. Let me introduce you to the warfare. The weapons that are used in the warfare in 14th century. English long bow. 2 years to cure the wood for it. Yew and ash. Total construction took 4 years. It's sophisticated composite. It draws 30 inches at 150 pounds. It aimed range 250 yards, unaimed 400 yards. It could sometimes penetrate armor. Fire rate 6 per minute. Archer carried up to 72 metal tip arrows. They were skilled archer trained for years. And that took Henry V to win the war against France. Shakespearean histories and Henry V are heavily influenced by Tudor, Lancastrian politics of 1599. Henry was a great Lancastrian hero, and Elizabeth I was eager to promote English nationalism. Let me talk about the cast of Henry V. First of all, let me tell you what cast means. Cast is a group of actors that perform on the stage. Now, the first character of this play was King Henry V, age 29. Hambury, Duke of Gloucester, age 25, brother to the king. John, Duke of Bedford, brother to the king, age 26. Edward, Duke of York, age 42, killed at Agincourt. Ironically, his younger brother Richard, the Duke of Cambridge, was executed for treason immediately before King Henry and his army departed for France, but not before fathering Richard, the future Duke of York, and the playful opponent of Henry VI. John Montague, Earl of Salisbury, aged 27, great commander. Raleigh, Earl of Westmoreland, age 51, not actually at Agincourt. Richard Beauchamp, Earl of Warwick, age 33, future mentor of Henry VI. Richard, Earl of Cambridge, age 40, executed for treason. Henry, age 52, Archbishop of Canterbury, powerful ally of the king. Presides at Cathedral of Canterbury, site of the martyrdom of Thomas A. Becket, and subject of Chaucer Canterbury Tales, the most powerful bishop in England. John Ferdinand, the Bishop of Ely, age 75, Attorney General for the Archbishop of Canterbury. Lord Scrope, Henry Scrope, age 39, a favourite of the king, but betrayed him. The leader of Southampton plot, executed in 1415. Sir Thomas Grey, age 31, one of the co-conspirator in the Southampton plot, executed 1415. Sir Thomas Erpingham, 58, commander of the famous English archer at Agincourt. Gover, a good captain in Henry's army. Flolin, a comedic Welsh captain in Henry's army. MacMorris, a comedic Irish captain in Henry's army. Jemmy, a Scottish captain. John Batts, Alexander Court, Michael Williams, 3 English soldiers who meet and argue with a disguised Henry the night before Agincourt. Pistol, Nym, Bardolph, boy, comic English soldiers and servant. English Harold, Charles VI, King of France, age 47. Let me talk about the themes in Henry V. The first theme that I want to talk about is warfare. In Henry V, Shakespeare dramatized England's invasions of France and King Henry's success at the battlefield of Agincourt in 1415. Does the play glorify war and justify Henry's actions, or does it really the horrific realities of medieval warfare? These questions that often divide audiences and literary critiques, but there's plenty of evidence to support both views. Shakespeare portrays a wide range of attitudes in the play, from Henry's aggressive stance that war will bring England honor and glory, to the common soldier's skeptical obedience and desire to simply make it home safely. Regardless of whether or not we believe Shakespeare glorifies Henry's invasions of France, one thing is certain: Henry V shows us that warfare, justifiable or not, has some devastating consequences that go beyond the horrific field casualties to generations of families. The widow's tears, the orphan cries, the dead man's blood, the pinning maiden groans for husbands, fathers, and betrothed lovers. Patriotism is another theme in Henry V. Henry V is one of the most patriotic works of art we have ever come across. The play is chock full of rousing speeches that have been carefully crafted to portray the English troops as underdogs that overcome overwhelming odds to achieve victory over the French. What's more, Henry's maintained that God is on his side, and he insists that fighting the French is a matter of national pride and honor throughout the play. At the same time, Shakespeare also registered a lot of skepticism about Henry's decision to declare war on France, and he portrays several English characters in an unflattering light. Family is another theme in the novel. This may be a big war play concerned with the foreign affairs and national politics, but there's also a whole lot of family drama in Henry. After all, both the English and French crowns are of a saying that sons are supposed to inherit the throne from their dads. It makes a lot of sense that the play is obsessed with all types of things that get passed down from father to sons, from entire kingdom to character traits like bravery and valor. In some cases, sons even inherit the burdens of their father's sins. Shakespeare also shows us how fragile family ties can be. During times of war, parents mourn for their lost sons. Children are made into orphans, and wives are turned to grieving widows. Gender is another theme in Henry V. When Henry V affectionately called his troops his band of brothers, it's pretty clear that Shakespeare is mostly interested in male bonds, particularly kind of close-knit relationship that are forged among soldiers on the battlefield. Yet, despite the emphasis on male relationship, triumphant ending hinges on the fact that Henry gets hitched to the French princess, Catherine, a hooked up that's been designed to unite the Kingdom of France and England. Because it's a union that has been negotiated as a part of England's peace treaty with France. The value of this male-female relationship is the fact that it forges a political alliance, not an emotional connection based on love and affection. Art and culture is the theme of Henry V. Henry V is one of the Shakespeare's most self-conscious plays. Each time the chorus steps out on the stage to set the scenes for us, we are asked to pardon the theatre's inability to accurately portray historical events like Battle of Agincourt, the Siege of Harfleur, and the Henry's journey across the English Channel. After all, it's impossible for a tiny theatre stage to hold the vastly field of France, or thousands of troops and horses that march across the battlefields. Time and time again, the chorus suggests that the audience must labor alongside the actors and soldiers. By using our imaginations, we, the audience, are responsible for bringing Shakespeare play to life. The fact that Shakespeare sees his play as an interactive experience is pretty cool, don't you think? Society and class is another theme in Henry V. In Henry V, Shakespeare knows that common soldiers experience war differently than the king and the nobility. After all, they are the ones who bear much of the burden of war. And if a battle is lost, they are likely to be killed, while the king may be ransomed and his life spared. When King Henry V orders his troops to invade France, his soldiers, many of whom are commoners, have no choice but to obey orders. They may not like it, and they may wish that they were back at home with their families or with friends at a favorite pub, but their options are pretty limited. As a soldier named William puts it, to disobey were against all proportion of subjection. Memory and the past is another theme in Henry V. Henry V is always looking over its shoulder into the historical past and also into the plays that have gone before it. At times, Shakespeare characters are haunted by their pasts. Henry must answer for his wide youth and feels compelled to beg God's forgiveness for his father's mistakes. As Henry looks forward into his future as the King of England and potentially the King of France, he forges ahead, the expense of leaving old friends like Falstaff behind in his wake. Of course, Shakespeare's preoccupation with the past also means that the play is full of shout-outs to the early history plays. Let me precisely analyze the Henry V for you. Now, let's talk about the tone. Now, the tone is sober, patriotic, ironic. Now, Henry V is a war play. So when we ask about its tone, the play or author's attitude towards its subject matter, what we are really asking is this: what's the play's attitude towards war? Specifically, what's the play attitude towards Henry's decision to invade France? The answers aren't cut and dried in this play because the tone shifts between patriotic enthusiasm for Henry's campaign against the French and its recognitions of horrors of warfare. On the one hand, the play celebrates Henry's triumphs over the France, which seemed miraculous given that the English troops were exhausted, sick, and seriously outnumbered at Agincourt. The play is also chock full of patriotic speech that suggests warfare is a patriotic and ennobling. The clearest example of this is Henry's famous St. Crispin's Day speech, where he insists that the men who fight alongside him will become his band of brothers. On the other hand, though, Shakespeare goes out his way to show us the horror of warfare, which involves brutal hand-to-hand combat, rapine, looting, and endless sufferings. As Exeter pointed out, neither side can escape the widow's tears, the orphan cries, the dead man's blood, the pinning maiden groans for husband, fathers, and betrothed lovers. For writing, let me give you some assignments. Question 1. Critically evaluate the themes in Henry V. Or would that be possible for you to discover a new theme in Henry V? Question 2. With the help of your critical readings, would you care to scholarly analyze Henry V? And that is how we come to the end of this short lecture. I'll talk to you next week. Bye for now.